today, and we're gonna start working on the Jeep. So I already took the old supercharger off, so unfortunately I don't have that on the video, but this used to have a Magnuson supercharger. Those of you guys that follow all my other pages, you'll know that this has been running a Magnuson for a while. This car has an SRT Max Plus cam headers. It has a full exhaust, and it was Magnuson supercharged. I actually had a custom headlight intake, which I already removed everything, but I was running a custom headlight intake, custom icebox, and a lot of other stuff that I had done to this car. And so I'm looking to kind of revive this. I've been leaving this car unattended for a while, so I'm hoping to get it back on. And so what I'm going to do is take the Demon supercharger that just came off my Demon, and we're going to swap it in. So good thing is I have a lot of the supporting stuff that you would need to do if you hadn't had a supercharged car before. So I haven't taken them off, but I was already running Hellcat injectors. I already have a whole cooling system, so I don't have to worry about a heat exchanger system. I can just incorporate that. But here's the Demon blower, and I'll be throwing this guy on and looking to make a little bit more boost. So I was already maxing out the Magnuson. I was running the biggest pulley the smallest pulley you can put on it, with an ATI 17% overdrive on the Jeep. And so I was already maxed out, especially up here at elevation. But this guy should allow us to spin basically more than what the motor can handle. So really looking forward to doing that and getting this mounted. Now I don't have bricks, I don't have a lid, and I don't have fuel rails because I have to put that all on my Kong. So I'm waiting for those to come in, and I'm waiting for the adapters to come in. So they should be here in the next couple of days. All right, so we got a cutoff wheel, got everything covered because there's going to be a lot of debris. About to give it a cut. And the safety glasses, safety first. All right, so we're down grinding that area up, and so you'll notice took quite a bit off here in this area of the timing cover. And essentially I just went at it with a grinder, and then cut kind of sections out so I can get through it cleanly. If you're not familiar using a grinder, just have to be really, really safe here. Grinders can get sketchy, especially if you're pushing them too hard. So make sure you're being extra safe when you're doing this. And then I'm just gonna continue to grind it a little bit smoother here. I don't have my plates yet. Hopefully they come sometime early this week, and we'll get it slapped on and test fitted. I wanted to show my harness here. This is the harness from Mud & Muscle Extreme, and what this does is allows you to split the T-map, which is the map sensors that go on the Hellcat supercharger that serve as both a map sensor and an intake temperature sensor, and actually split the harness so you can connect this to your 6.1, 5.7, and 6.4 map sensor. And this is supposed to fit your intake air temperature sensor, but this is only sized for 5.7 and 6.4 cars, so 2011 and older. And I'll show why. So you notice it looks similar, but this inside here does not squeeze into the connector. So I even tried modifying the outside of the connector to see if it would work, but it's just not going to fit. You'll notice it's much wider. So this is actually an extension harness that came with my TBS 2300 supercharger kit. And so what this does is just extends the harness so that you can reroute the intake air temperature sensor to the supercharger. And so now what I'm going to do is cut the wire here, and rather than splice directly into my harness, I'm going to splice to this connector and then plug that into my OEM harness connector, which is a little bit clean. And here it is all done. So I swapped over that sensor, split it, and just crimped it onto that harness that you can get from MMX. And so what I did is, and I'll pull out my flashlight to show here. So I had my cousin actually go into all data and look at the which wire in here gives the signal. And so for me, it was this brown and white wire in here that actually gives the IAT signal. So I made sure to splice that harness into that, and so we should get a reading. So we'll be testing it once I mount the supercharger. All right, so my adapter plates just got here. So I wanted to show what comes with the kit. So there's a lot of options when you order from MMX. That's where I ordered from, Mud & Muscle Extreme. There's other kits out there. You can choose whatever ones you like. But 6.1 Hellcat on Instagram, if you're not following him already, he's the guy to go to if you have questions about these builds. And he tunes a lot of these cars too, so he's a great resource. So definitely check his page out. But he told me that the MMX brand is a really good brand to go with. So you'll get these adapter plates that essentially have the whole pattern for your manifold and then for the supercharger to mount on top of it. You get an idler bracket, 2 idler pulleys, the hardware, and then the grommets for the adapter plates come separate, but you'll have to put those in, no big deal. So finally gonna get to do a test fit. So we're gonna get these mounted up, sit the supercharger on there, make sure I trimmed enough off the timing cover, and then... Okay, so I had some initial test fitting done with the plates on here, and so I had the plates on the heads just to see where I would think I need to trim, and it looks like I'm gonna have to grind the cowl here and here on the Jeep, which doesn't seem to be a problem on the LS car or the LX cars, but on the Jeep it's not gonna work. So gonna have to trim that up, and then likely some of this too. Hopefully I can get away with just trimming the insulation and cutting that away, but if not, we'll have to maybe grind all the way up to here. I just sizing and specking everything out right now, but yeah. All right, so we ground off those bumps on there and there and just smashed it in. So we'll probably do some cleanup, but I pounded it in so that it could flex away. And now I measured, so I took measurements of how much I needed to remove, and then the supercharger height. So we should have enough height here. But as we move towards the center of the car, this is where the lid will hump up. And so I took a measurement from there, and we're about 1 inch too tall with the supercharger. So I'm going to have to trim the cowl, and I made some marks. So I'm going to have to trim all around here. So definitely not the most DIY thing, especially if you're not familiar with a grinder, but I'm going to go at it, grind that piece of the cowl off. And I'll still be able to put on the plastics that go above the cowl and the wipers. That won't be an issue, but I will have to grind this off. So if you're not ready to grind your Jeep, definitely this is not the supercharger to run. All right, so did some cutting here, gonna do a little bit of bending and some cleanup, but this should get us to where we can fit the supercharger in, and then this should allow the lid to actually close there. So we're about to set the supercharger on there and make sure we cut off. All right, so have the blower in. Had to do quite a bit of cutting on the cowl, so I'll just show a little bit of the area. So that corner there's problematic. You don't run into it so much on the right hand side, but definitely in the middle here I took this entire section off so that the lid could fit, and then I had to go all the way back close to the wiper mount there, and so took all that off, and now we're sitting on the plates and it's installed. I'll have to flip this backwards, so you have to run the pulley backwards on these setups, and I'm about to fit up the idler bracket just to see how that looks. But so far so good. Sits in there. I put a lid on it just to test it. It sits in fine. So just moving along. All right, so here we are with the belt drive. So you'll notice I put the pulley bracket on, put the idler pulleys, and then I flipped my grip tech backwards, which is what I had heard we had to do. And just kind of gauging, making sure everything's going to line up, and it looks pretty good. And I'm actually really happy. This dual idler, let me see if I can show it, has really good belt wrap. So the belt wraps around really well around the pulley, which helps you with grip. And then I'm also running a GT500 tensioner, so this should not have any problems with belt slip, but we'll see once we start it. I'm waiting for a lid, some bricks, because I took this, I cannibalized this blower to put all the stuff into my Kong 2650, but I have all the parts coming, so we should be getting it started